Wow, cereal for dinner as the Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the morning show of yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist, and my main man, Frank. Say what's up to the people.
Hey, what's up, buddy? I got my microphone working last second, so we're good. There we go. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, no, it's great to be here. Didn't mean to say good morning, just good morning. But pulsewavetrading.com. If you're a member, you're already there, hanging out, waiting to get involved in these markets, looking at these attack reports. So we'd love to have you. This is our private member segment. You could be a part of it. We've been having a ludicrous amount of people joining us every evening, especially the evening watch list orders has been absolutely awesome. People hanging out with us past the live show into the bullpen, and we're super excited about that. So thanks everybody for your support for the new stuff that we're doing. So you could be a part of it, my friends. You just got to go to pulsewavetrading.com, and we've got the new Algo Capitalist bullpen. And we're very proud of this. It doesn't just look cool. It looks cool because it is cool. Twice a day, live with Dex. Attack reports updated Sunday through Thursday evening for trading all week. Absolutely amazing. These prices are outstanding. We have an amazing yearly deal. We know for some people, for most people, a lot of people, nobody wants to pay that every month, but it's worth it. It's well worth it. But we've made a yearly, so that those who really value it, you can get it all at once, and it's very affordable considering what we do here. This is about being a practicing capitalist. This is about getting your own money instead of standing on the sidelines and clapping for Donald Trump while he makes his. This is about you being an American and taking the American dream back. Can I guarantee that? Do your own research, etc. But we've got some wonderful things going on here, and it's really, I say this to Dex all the time. One of the reasons I love doing this is because when I wanted to learn how to trade, I couldn't find anything this cool. And so it's very exciting to be able to offer this to you folks. So head over to pulsewavetrading.com, and then I'll see you when we split. Other than that, I'll get out of your way, Dex. I'm excited to hear what you have to say today. You've been doing an outstanding job.
Thanks, my man. I appreciate that. Appreciate all the love and support. You are the man
every
yourself.
day, every day.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into these overnight markets. So, first and foremost, you know how we do it. We always do markets first. So the US dollar index down again today, down 19 pips at 103.17, coming dangerously close to vacating the 103 space and hitting 102. Is this a head fake? Is this a bear trap? We shall see. The euro is really not moving as much as you would think. It's only up 2 pips at 109.04. And when you look at the pound sterling, it's up 14 pips at 127.56. And the Aussie is up 38 pips at 66.07. So it's the most bullish off of the weaker dollar this morning. Looking at the Bitcoin futures, we're up $890, trading at 68,650. Uh, just off Yep, just off the high of 68,680. So not bad. Ethereum actually in the negative, down $15 at $3,892.50. Now it did dip to 37.74 in the overnight market. So it's a nice little technical rally bounce off of that low, but it still went there nonetheless. You got to be careful of creating a bearish pointer here on the day. So we'll see what the market does. Crude oil is down 53 cents a barrel this morning, trading at $78.59 a barrel. It did hit $79.37 in the overnight market before pulling back. Nat gas is down 2 pennies, trading at $1.90. Gold futures were positive, now down 50 cents an ounce, trading at $2,157.60 an ounce. It did top out in the overnight market at $2,172.20 per ounce. Silver down 2 pennies, trading at $24.46 an ounce. It did rally to $24.57 in the overnight market. So by and large, both gold and silvers, holding their own treading water at this point. Looking at copper up 4 pennies at $3.91. Dow futures catching a bid here late in the morning as the morning's going. It's up 171 points at 38,879. The E-mini S&P 500 futures up 30 and a half points at 5142 half. E-mini NASDAQ 100 futures at 137 half at 18,181 half. Russell My Hustle up 20.2 points at 2089.9. And soybeans up a whopping 10 cents this morning at $11.58 a bushel. Not to be outdone, corn is up 7 cents this morning at $7.36 a bushel. And the weakest is wheat, only up 2 pennies, trading at $5.33 per bushel. What's on deck this morning? Well, rest assured, the Fed will cut rates this year, according to Jerome Powell. This is going to be day 2 of his, meeting on Capitol Hill with the Senate Finance Committee. That kind of thing, with them throwing them willies, and then he tap dances his way around it. Remember that scene in the movie Chicago where the lawyer was tap dancing? Well, that's what Jerome Powell's been doing. He knows how to tap dance very well. All right. Fred Astaire ain't got nothing on him, okay? A Microsoft engineer is sounding the alarm on its AI image generator, and there's no need for CEOs to panic about their mammoth pay packages. But first, Altman's all-encompassing AI. He's the CEO of the most high-profile startup in the world, and that's only the half of it. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has thrust into the mainstream consciousness with the release of ChatGPT in 2022. It was the start of an AI revolution that he remains one of the faces of. But Altman, who was well known in the tech community long before ChatGPT, has a reach that extends even further than OpenAI. His numerous investments aren't as much about betting on the tech as they are about realizing Altman's broader vision of the future. Many of the startup investments Altman has made are in preparation for the emergence of artificial general intelligence. The idea that tech could ultimately outperform humans at a wider range of tasks and capabilities. There is another tech billionaire whose vision exceeds a singular company. He also happens to be someone Altman is feuding with. Elon Musk and Altman were once allies, initially serving as co-chairs of OpenAI, but their relationship has deteriorated since Musk left OpenAI's board in 2018. The bromance turned beef culminated in a new lawsuit filed by Musk against Altman and OpenAI, accusing the company of jeopardizing its nonprofit mission via its partnership with Microsoft. The suit detailed how Musk donated more than $44 million to OpenAI as it looked to establish itself. OpenAI responded by publishing old emails between Musk and its executives, which could pose problems for Musk's suit. The post, which Altman and other OpenAI execs penned, says the group realized a for-profit entity would be necessary to raise funding and that Elon wanted majority equity, initial board control, and to be CEO. The Musk-Altman fight is fascinating considering how much they have in common. Musk's ambitions, like Altman's, are grand, from getting to Mars to encouraging people to have more kids. Altman has previously described Musk as one of his heroes. But unlike Musk, Altman has somewhat incredibly mostly skirted controversy, save for his ouster, then return saga. But despite running the company that set off a tech arms race slated to upend nearly every corner of the world, Altman isn't nearly as polarized a figure as Elon Musk. It wasn't always that way. Musk was once considered tech's golden boy, even serving as the partial inspiration for Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Tony Stark in Iron Man, and nabbing the Times 2021 Person of the Year. Musk still remains hordes of supporters, but his public perception has certainly changed. Goldman Sachs Data Wiz details the role information plays in the bank's AI strategy. Nima Raphael, Goldman's chief data officer and partner, ensures the bank's AI models have a steady stream of clean, accurate, and accessible information. He details how his roughly 500-person team works across the bank to make sure they are getting the best data. I have to say, data is extremely important. The cleanness of data is also important, especially when you're trying to run programs and design strategies. You got to have the right data. If your data is off, then your results will be off. And there's nothing worse than having your results off and you don't know it or realize it, because one little piece of data, one little piece of code, one line of code, one digit off could spell catastrophe. Yes, rate cuts are still coming this year. Fed Chair Jerome Powell said the central bank still plans to lower interest rates, but is waiting on more data. Powell also said inflation won't need to fall to 2% for cuts to come, which has been a concern for some market experts. Like I said, don't be surprised if you get a in between a rate cut unannounced, even after they say they're not going to do it. All it takes is for the stock market to drop 2%. Forget the interest rates falling 2% or inflation rates to fall 2%. If that Dow Jones falls like that in a day, you best believe the rate cuts are a coming. China canceled a closely watched press conference. Beijing said Monday that Li Qiang's once a year meeting with the local and international press wouldn't be taking place. It's a sign that leader Xi Jinping doesn't want anyone to question his regime as the world's second largest economy battles deflationary pressures and a property market crisis, experts said. Let me give you the unedited, unredacted version of that statement. It's a sign that the Biden White House doesn't want anyone to question his regime as the world's largest economy battles deflationary pressures and a property market crisis, experts say. There you go. That's a lot more accurate than the preceding statement. NVIDIA could soon leapfrog Apple in value. Analysts say Apple needs to launch generative AI services this year or risk being surpassed by NVIDIA. There's a lot on the line for Apple, which is already seeing iPhone sales headwinds and trying to catch up to OpenAI, Google, and Microsoft's AI products. I have to admit, the China situation is putting a lot of pressure on Apple. And so it's limping along. I don't know if it's going to be able to withstand NVIDIA taking first place here. A Microsoft engineer is sounding the alarm on Copilot Designer. In a letter to the FTC, the employee wrote that Microsoft's AI image creator produces harmful content reflecting the three-letter S word, violence, and bias. He also said they repeatedly urged Microsoft to remove the tool from public use. Snitching in the workplace. Layoffs at Facebook Messenger, Meta's direct messaging app, was hit with a round of cuts this week. Two people familiar with the company signaled that the social media giant's drive for greater efficiency continues. So the layoffs keep coming, yet they say the unemployment rate remains strong and not as dire as they thought. Very interesting how you can manipulate data to get the results you want. Keep making movies, Apple. Napoleon, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Argyle probably weren't profitable at the box office, but they could help the tech giant to grow its Apple TV Plus streaming service at a time when iPhone sales are slowing down. Warehouse giant Prologis is planning a $25 billion push into data centers. Prologis, the nation's largest warehouse owner, has hired a veteran data center executive to help lead the push. With warehouse growth slowing and data centers booming, the move is a lucrative opportunity. CEOs shouldn't fret about their paydays. A Delaware judge recently ruled against Tesla boss Elon Musk's $55 billion compensation package, but the decision is unlikely to have much of an impact on executive pay in general. And in other news, Department of Justice opens probe of global life, American income life. It's Trump versus Biden, and Trump has the upper hand now. Elon Musk is lashing out at Mackenzie Scott, Jeff Bezos' executive, for donating billions to charities for women and minorities. And of course, the big one is the State of the Union is Biden's biggest moment before the election. And we're going to come back to that. This defense tech startup bootstrapped its way to nearly $30 million in revenue. Now it has another $35 million from Sapphire Ventures. Amazon, CVS, and Walgreens went all in on primary care. Their bets are bleeding money. See, just because someone is a Fortune 500 company and hired mathematicians and physicists and everything else on their payroll doesn't mean they will be able to make money. They are bleeding. Schoenfield's strong start to 2024 has the once imperiled manager besting larger peers. And here's what else is happening today. We got earnings. We got Costco and Kroger, to name a few. And President Joe Biden will deliver the State of the Union address. And Apple changes the iOS, Safari, and App Store in the EU. That will take effect. The changes bring Apple in compliance with the Digital Markets Act. Now let's get back to the State of the Union address. All right, so let's not pretend that we don't know what time it is, because we do. People are going to be watching this State of the Union address intently. Understand that a lot of technology has been developed over the past couple decades. It all started when Alan Greenspan was the Fed chair. And Wall Street firms needed to understand what he was saying, what he was not saying, and how he was saying what he was not saying. And so computer programmers got to work and started designing algorithms and software that would take every word that he would say in public, and it would analyze it and come out with an answer on should you buy, should you sell, blah, blah, blah. Well, the same thing, the same technology works for State of the Union addresses as well. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The software programs will be running at full tilt tonight as the U.S. president gives the State of the Union address, which is a must according to constitutional law. He has to do it. Now, while some people are going to be just listening and, saying, hey, see, the economy's good. The State of the Union is strong. They're going to be hearing what they want to hear. And then on the other side, people are going to be saying, see, everything sucks. The White House sucks. The government sucks. And then you'll have people in the middle. The people in the middle are the ones that are running these programs to dissect every word. They even have people on payroll that will be watching the State of the Union address to diagnose and break down his body language. That's right. You got body language experts that look at body language. They can tell if someone is lying and if they're hiding something, all of that. So that can compound it with the algorithms that are going to be running and dissecting the language. It's going to be a very interesting night. But I'm going to do what I always do on this channel. I don't like to approach things the way everyone else is approaching and talking about what everyone else is talking about. I want to get real underneath the skin. Let's get under the epidermis of the matter. And the issue that people are going to miss, and I know they're going to miss it because they've been missing it, it flies right over people's head. Okay, it goes a little something like this. All right, walk with me. So you have a U.S. president who is old as Methuselah, and he has shown time and time again. There are dozens of video clips showing where he is forgetting things, forgetting names, forgetting where he is, just being forgetful, stuttering over words, stammering, um, you know, talking incoherently, not making any sense, things of that nature. There are more of those video clip footages in the internet than there are of him being cognizant. So, a question that no one seems bold and brave enough to ask is what I have to ask. With tonight's State of the Union being the most important press conference of his life, what Biden are we going to see tonight? Is it going to be the decrepit version of Biden, or is it going to be a sharp Biden? Well, you and I both know that when a person is struggling with Alzheimer's or some form of dementia, you have good days and you have bad days. But one thing remains consistent, and that's the cognitive decline. It is noticeable. It will be noticeable. Even on the most powerful medication and drugs, it's still noticeable. All right. You guys who are listening to this morning show are some of the most intelligent people on the planet. That's why you listen to this show. Most of you can relate to what I am saying because you have had friends, family members, loved ones who have battled dementia or Alzheimer's. You have lost loved ones to these situations who went out like this in their older age. We also know that younger people have been diagnosed with the early stage onset Alzheimer's and dementia. So you know that what I am saying here is fact. Even on the best of medication, you will still have good and bad days, but one thing remains consistent, and that's you can see the cognitive decline is there, right? You can't hide it. All right. It's like hiding a broken leg. You're going to notice the limp. You're going to see the cast. You're going to see the crutches. You're going to see him in a wheelchair or whatever. You can't hide the broken leg. It's going to be noticeable. Once you stand up or try to walk, it's going to be noticeable. You just can't hide it. So the question that no one is dealing with is this. It's not which version of Biden we're going to see tonight. My question is, who are we going to see tonight? Because it's not going to be Biden. Which body double are we going to see? Body double A1C3, body double Z19000. Which one are we going to see? And the bigger question is, are we going to see a body double? Are we going to see some type of robotoid or automaton, some kind of synthetic clone? Or, which is the more plausible question, are we going to see an amazing on point Biden? Meaning that as the president of the United States and as one of the wealthiest people in the country, does he have access to medical technology that exists that you don't have access to? Have you noticed that? Think about it. If you see a sharp, on point Biden tonight who's not stuttering and stammering, it's because they gave him a hot shot before he went on stage. And it's going to make him fluid for X amount of time. It's going to buy him time. He's going to be sharp for a couple of hours. And that shot is not available to you or I or our loved ones. What I'm saying is, I believe that there is medical treatments and even cures that are available to the rich and powerful elites of the world that are not available to the public. So I wonder who's going to be bold enough to ask these questions after what we see tonight. If you see a sharp Biden reminiscent of him in his 30s or 40s, when he's in his 80s now, either he got a hot shot or that's not him. And it's just that simple. Either or. Which one is it? Like the other question I always ask you guys. It's either our US government is evil or our US government is incompetent. Which one? Which one is it? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like a lot of things that are going down and have been going down are on purpose. But if they're not, and they're sincerely saying, no, you don't understand. No, we're not evil. We really are. We really do love the American people. We want to do what's best for this country. Then that means you're incompetent, because how many government hacks of information have we had in the past decade? How many hacks have been blamed on China, Russia, Iran, or North Korea, whoever else? The United States of America has been a victim over the past decade more than it's ever been in its lifetime. Not to mention the underreported incidents of manufacturing facilities exploding and burning to the ground, especially meat packing plants and other food producing places that have been underreported or just media blacked out altogether. There have been dozens and dozens and dozens of this type of sabotage. What is going on? No one is asking these very difficult questions. Again, either the US's infrastructure is so old and decrepit that it's just starting to fall apart, including our power grid, electrical grid, roads, bridges, buildings, all of that, or it's being done on purpose, and we call that acts of terrorism. If you or I decided we were going to set fire to a meatpacking facility, we would be arrested and tried with all types of crimes, and they may even hit us with a terrorism crime. But when the government does it, it's just an accident. So which is it? Has the American government gone totally apocalyptically evil? Or does the emperor have no clothes, meaning that now the blinders have come off and we're seeing that each and every one of our elected officials are absolutely 100% incompetent and need to be fired? Yeah, elected and unelected officials, people holding some of the highest offices of our government. There's a purge in government need to happen. That's the big question that no one wants to deal with. So while the president is giving his State of the Union address, I want you to watch and see. Take a look. Is this a Biden who is operating like he's 50 years younger? Or is this not him at all? It's someone else. Because if he's operating like he's 50 years younger, we know he got a hot shot before he got up on that stage. If not, then we got to think, what is the point? Because it's obvious at this point about his mental cognitive abilities. We know it's in decline. That's not even in debate. What's in debate is, why do they keep putting this man before the cameras, having him make a fool out of himself? That's really messed up, in my opinion. That's wrong. Why do you keep setting him up to fail? Do you want people to laugh at him? Is he supposed to represent a dying country? Is he supposed to be some type of a sign that America has fallen and is falling and is crumbling? Is he supposed to be that sign, that symbol? Because technically speaking, the president of the United States is a representation of the country. So if we're putting forth our representation of the country as a elder statesman, a decrepit elder statesman, and when we say these terms, we don't mean it derogatory. We're talking about the age, and not just the age, but the failing health. In a general sense, as we all age, our bodies start to go into decline. Some people lose eyesight, hearing, cognitive abilities, motor skills, you name it. That's a part of life. So it's not making fun of the president. It's saying, why are you doing this to him? Why are you humiliating him like this? Is it because the powers that be, the shadowy forces behind that we don't see, want this to happen? Because it's a signal, it's a sign to others to get ready because the giant is about to topple over? Again, questions that people are too afraid to ask, but need to ask. So I ask you again, are our elected officials incompetent or are they evil? Are they doing these things on purpose or are they messing up because they're incompetent and don't have any idea what they're doing? Think about it. Now, I'm leaning toward the evil part because I go back to September the 11th of 2001, where people were promoted after that day. People in the military were promoted after that day. The largest epic fail in American history saw people in positions of power getting promoted. Since when do you promote incompetence? You don't. You don't see that. That does not happen. You're not going to be the CEO of a company and lose the company billions of dollars because of a bumbling idea you had, especially after you were warned against doing it. And then you go ahead and do it, and then the company loses billions of dollars. You're not going to stay CEO of that company. You're not. Incompetence is never rewarded, it's punished. So then why do we keep rewarding incompetence? Why do you keep reelecting officials who are incompetent? Look at the state of the country. The State of the Union is in shambles. We have more than 500,000 homeless people in the United States of America. Last time I checked, the number was well over 600,000. Think about that. Think about it. That's a lot, people. That's too much, people. Tens of thousands of people per state. Think about it. How is that a good thing? How is that being rewarded? The people in those states, in those districts, should be punished for this. Think about it. But they're not. They're not being punished. That's an average of 12,000 homeless people per state in the union. That's despicable. That's despicable. But yet, these people are being rewarded with remaining in office. There should be no such thing ever in the English vocabulary as a career politician. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense. But see, when you promise people free things, you're pretty much guaranteed to win an election. And why is it that it costs an average of $30 million to run for president? Why would someone spend $30 million to run for an elected office that only makes $200,000 a year. You're going to spend $30 million of people's hard-earned money just so you can make $200,000 a year. Where does that make sense mathematically? That is not commonsensical. Spend 30 million and make 200,000. No, because it's not about the paycheck. It's about the power and the money that you're going to make when you leave office. That is why the majority of elected officials, whether they be mayors, whether they be governors, whether they be senators, Congress people, it doesn't matter who you are. When you leave office richer than when you came in office. And one of the reasons why you get to leave out richer than you came is because, remember, insider trading is not illegal for the elected officials. It's only illegal for you. In other words, they get to operate above the law. The laws of the land only apply to you. It doesn't apply to them. They're treated differently. So justice is not blind when it comes to them. If justice was blind when it comes to people in positions of power, then our current sitting president would already be in jail along with his son. But because justice is not blind in America, those that are in positions of power get a pass and they get pardons. Think about it. So why is that the case? Why does it cost $30 million to run for U.S. president? Shouldn't cost you anything. This money is going into someone's pocket. And why are there lobbyists? What is a lobbyist? A lobbyist is a special interest that is abdicating that the government pass laws, legislations, rules, etc., that benefit the special interest group. So if you have enough money, you can go to Washington, D.C., and you can lobby the right people, i.e., hit people over the head with a ginormous briefcase stacked full of money, and you can get things to go your way. Large corporations and businesses have been doing it longer than you and I have been alive. Yeah. The reason why we have so many rules and regulations is because the industries have lobbied the government to pass these ridiculous rules to keep outsiders out, to keep competition out. The United States government will have you to believe that it's so against monopoly, but it's not against monopoly. It's against anything that threatens its power and influence. Case in point, cable companies get to have their own territory. Did you know that? It's against the law to have two cable providers in the same neighborhood. Can't happen, won't happen, because they have lobbied well enough to give each other territories and zones. That way, no one gets to crisscross each other's neighborhood. Everyone gets their own territory. That's not fair business practice. And then they get the governments to pass rules to make it harder for a new competition to come on the scene. So we live in a country that is full of corruption. The United States wants to talk about China and they want to talk about Nigeria as being the most corrupt places on earth, but they don't hold a candle to the United States government, who is the most corrupt place on earth. How else do you explain it? What else can you say? You can't. All right? It is what it is. We have to finally wake up and think about these things. Okay? It is what it is. All right? So at this point, what we are seeing is a situation where the United States is a crumbling superpower. It's going the way of the dodo bird because of the corruption. That's why, because of the corruption. Because it's not an even playing field. Because they like to create new meanings to already existing words and states of being, and then they mean something else. Case in point, when you say affordable housing, you would think that, oh, that means they're going to create houses that the working poor can afford. But that's not what that means at all. It means the opposite. It means the opposite. All an apartment builder has to do, let's say an apartment builder wants to build, let's say 300 units in this particular neighborhood. All he has to do is set aside one or two apartments and make those quote unquote affordable housing, and you get the ability to build. That's it. As long as you do that, as long as you set aside one or two apartments out of your 300 units for quote unquote affordable housing, then you're good to go. Have you ever thought about it? Why, with so-called affordable housing, why there's so many people that can't find housing? It's because of stupid rules. Take a look at the other rule. When you look at the controlled rent thing, you don't have to look any further than New York City. You got rent-controlled apartments that rent for $300 a month that someone has held hostage since the 1960s. And what do? They rent it out to friends and family or other people for the current market rates, and they get to eat off of that. Think about it. Did that rent control help the poor? No. It boxed them out and made it certain that the poor would never see those apartments. So when things don't work, you have to ask, why is that? Why is that? Yeah, you're right. The Inflation Reduction Act, does it reduce inflation? No, it makes it higher. It makes things higher. There have been documented cases of grocery store food chains raising prices of certain foods more than 100%. 100%. Why? Has anything changed? No. The pandemic's over. So why still the high prices? Well, supply and demand. No, no, no. We're seeing this in things that don't even really move off the shelves. It doesn't matter. It's not just items that are quote unquote high demand. It's all items. All items. Everything's going up. So you have to ask yourself, why is that? And are you really going to keep putting up with this? The election is coming. November will be upon us before you know it. And this is going to be the most important election in U.S. history because it's going to reveal a couple of things. The first thing it's going to reveal is just how brainwashed the average American has been. If all the incumbents get reelected, that's a very telling sign that we are living in the last days, not the last days of human beings on earth, but the last days of America as a world superpower. We'll be living in the last days of the US dollar being the world reserve currency. Yeah, that's what you need to be more concerned with. Your country that's falling. Why do you think the elite are fleeing the ship like rats? They're jumping ship. They're moving, leaving the country. They're building bunkers. They're selling all of their shares of stock and getting out. Think about it. Exactly. Food and gas are not included in the inflation calculation because they know they would be exposed if they were. They wouldn't be able to lie about inflation. But people keep perpetuating the same thing. And what do we call that when a person keeps doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results? We call that insanity, right? So that is what we're seeing. We're seeing insanity. Look at how many Americans are on psychotropic drugs. Look at how many Americans are suffering with mental illness of some type, some kind. Look how many Americans are taking all these drugs, Ritalin, and all these other things. Look at how many Americans have been diagnosed with ADD and ADHD and bipolar and all other types of mental uh, illnesses. More than any other country on earth. And no one is even stopping to think about that. Look at the rates of autism that have shot up since 1980. It used to be one kid per 1,000. That's how rare it was. Now it's like 6 out of 10 kids born will be born somewhere on the spectrum. And no one is saying what's going on. Why is that? Is that because you have the same attitude as Mr. Potter had in It's a Wonderful Life? When him and George Bailey had that argument, what was Potter's response? He said, well, they're not my children. That's the attitude. They're not my children. Not understanding that you're going to be affected by this one way or another. See, people think that as long as that's going on over there and not in my posh gated community, I'm okay. Your gated community is not going to save you, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care if you are living in one of those gated communities where they have armed guards with M16s. That is not going to guarantee your safety. Do you want to know why? Because at some point, you're going to have to leave the gated community. You're going to have to go to the store. You're going to have to go to the doctors. You're going to have to leave out of there. Same reason why your underground bunker will not guarantee your safety. Because at some point, you're going to have to leave that bunker. At some point, you're going to have to go outside. And then you will be exposed. So it's a false sense of security. Americans have always had a false sense of security. Think about it. Remember when people would leave their doors and windows unlocked? I don't care if no crime ever happened in your neighborhood when you were growing up. That was a false sense of security. Just because no one broke into your home did not mean you were safe. You weren't safe. Leaving your doors and windows unlocked when you were growing up in 1927 did not mean that you were safe. I live in a safe neighborhood. There's no such thing as a safe neighborhood. It's just a neighborhood that hasn't been hit yet. You just happen to live on a block that hadn't experienced home invasions yet. You just happen to live on a block where you haven't been carjacked yet. You just happen to live on a block where you didn't see zombies walking down the street. When I say zombies, I mean those people who are so strung out on drugs that they resemble zombies from the zombie apocalypse. Just because you lived in a neighborhood when those things hadn't happened yet didn't mean you were safe. All it took to shake you from that dream you were living in is for it to happen one time. All it would have took is for one dude to break into your house. All it would have took was for one person to steal your car to show you that you were not safe. There's no such thing as a safe neighborhood. Leaving doors and windows unlocked was always and has always been a bad idea. Not taking security seriously. I'm safe. I live in a safe state, a safe county, a safe town, a safe neighborhood. No such a thing. False sense of security. So if Americans have been living under a false sense of security for so long, what's going to happen when that security is shaken to its foundation? That's what we've been seeing. We've seen the hordes of people bum rushing department stores and running out with armfuls of free merchandise. That didn't happen. I don't remember that happening growing up. I don't ever remember hearing something like that happen. Yeah, America has had riots, like the riots in the 1960s, the riots in the early 1990s. Yeah, there have been riots. But we're not talking about riots. We're talking about thieves mobilizing, organizing into mass hordes, going into places and robbing and running out, jumping into getaway vehicles and driving off. That has not happened before. Again, false sense of security. You thought that something like that would never happen in America, but it has happened and it is happening. Well, America is one of the lucky countries where we've never had, been attacked or, had warfare done on our soil. All of the wars America's been involved in has happened overseas. And you have people, scientists and other, professors give you all the reasons why that is and how we're strategically located and blah, blah, blah. But that is a lie. Because we just finished talking about all the sabotage at the meat packing plants and other manufacturing facilities of food going back since prior to the pandemic. And it's been underreported or not reported at all. That's sabotage. Come on. How much more do you need to see before you wake up and deal with what's going on? And it starts at the foundation. If you want to expose the shadow government, if you're one of the people that don't believe in conspiracy theories, well, why don't you expose the shadow government? Why don't you vote independent this year on every ballot, state level, federal level? Vote independent. Don't reelect or elect any Democrats or Republicans and see what happens. See, the American people are too afraid to do that because they know that if they did that, they would find out an ugly truth, and they're not ready for that. They don't want to deal. They don't want to face that. So they want to be ostriches and put their heads in the sand. I guarantee you, though, if by some means every voter voted independent and did not vote Democrat or Republican, what you would see would blow your mind. The results would blow your mind. All right? Because you live under a false left-right paradigm. Democrat versus Republican. No, they're one and the same. The people that control them, we call the shadow government. And the shadow government is made up of a lot of different moving parts, starting with large Fortune 500 corporations and other shadowy agencies, government agencies, nonprofit so-called agencies, and think tanks. You would be surprised. The people really pulling the strings and the person really running the country is not the president. It's not Congress. It's not the Senate. It's not the House. It's not even the judiciary. It's the people who control all of those people. The people that all of those people are afraid of. The entities that they're afraid of, that's who runs the country. The people who run the country are not the people you elected. It's people's names you've never heard of. And you realize just how real this is if you have the misfortune of running afoul of the law. So, folks, this is a very important State of the Union address. You're going to see something. If you are willing to open your eyes and look, you're going to see and hear something, and it should wake you up. Because if you see a cognizant Biden, an on-point Biden, not drooling, not driveling, not stammering or stammering words, then you have to ask, Was he given some type of a shot that we don't have access to that can stop dementia and stop the effects of Alzheimer's for a time? Or are we watching a body double or some other type of stand in? If you see a struggling Biden, then you have to ask the other question. Okay, so the people who are allowing him to go up there like that, are they just stupid and incompetent, or are they evil and they're doing it for a nefarious purpose? These are tough questions that you have to ask and answer. All right, folks, I do appreciate you hanging out with us this morning, but that's my time. We got to bounce. We're going to go private for our members. And remember, smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. You don't want to miss content when it comes available. Not all of our content is live. Sometimes we pre-record things and upload them. Things of vast importance, so we don't necessarily have time to go live because that's not always possible. So you definitely don't want to miss these talks. And remember, the system works if you work the system. Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. That simply means take whatever profit you can from the market and give nothing back. And on that note, I'm out. Until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Don't forget to analyze the State of the Union address because it's going to be the most important State of the Union address you've ever watched so far. And on that note, we are out. Peace.